Hey guys, welcome back to Behind the Grape. A little bit of an afternoon edition today. Here in Toronto, we are now on our lockdown. Businesses are locked down, restaurants are locked down. With restaurants being locked down means wine is not being sold, beer is not being sold, cocktails are not being made by some of the best mixologists on the planet, and restaurants and shops are unable to operate. But in light of recent news and what's been happening in the last couple of days, I just want to lend my voice to the small business industry as a whole, for restaurants and others, because I'm at a point now where I've been doing or been trying to do all the right things. I wear my mask when I go outside. I try to socially distance. Yes, I still do my outdoor gym classes, but we all maintain our 3 meters of separation in the park, and we're not sharing our kettlebells. We each bring our own. So I try to do all the right things. But now I'm looking and I'm seeing businesses that were doing the right things in terms of restaurants and small businesses being forced to shut in favor of large conglomerate business being left open. And if I'm to take people at their word, which I do, that the virus that we're facing right now spreads inside more than outside with people together for long periods of time, I can understand the shutting down of some things, but I can't understand then why we are allowing Costco to be open. It's a giant store that has more than 40 or 50 people in it at any time, some not wearing masks, and some of the retailers don't really seem to be enforcing it. So I'm not really sure what the reasoning there is. And then when I look at stores that are that size, I look at certain restaurants. And as most of you know, I love small independent restaurants where you have creative chefs and like so much passion. And all restaurants they have passion, but I do prefer the smaller restaurants. But on the flip side of that, when I look at the large restaurants like an Earl's or a Cactus that has a ton of square footage, why can't they be open if they're following proper guidelines, if they have PPE, if people are wearing masks, if they're socially distanced? And it got me thinking, maybe one way around this, instead of closing them all, can we go back to what we did in the early 2000s when we were trying to generate lunch businesses? We were all competing against each other. Do a guaranteed lunch and dinner would have you in and out in 35 minutes kind of scenario, and turn those tables, keep everything socially distanced. Yes, it's not your traditional restaurant experience, but it's getting people in the doors, and it's getting them spending money, and it's keeping some of these restaurants alive. And then I thought, well, why not even try that on a small restaurant? Again, if there's some plexi in place, if there's hand sanitizer, if there's mask. Now, obviously, like in my neighborhood, there's a lot of very small restaurants, so it would be a very minimal amount of people that I guess you'd be allowed to have in there. So I don't know if depending on what the rent situation is, the financials may be a bit difficult, but it's something. And I just wonder, like, have people given this enough thought, or is it just like, well, restaurants and small businesses close and let the big guys stay open? And when I look at the small businesses, especially in this neighborhood, and I know talking to people up in Ottawa, a lot of these guys were doing it right. Like I went out last week, and there's a shop on the Danforth, has a sign right on the front door, 4 people max. And as soon as you walk in, there's someone there, and they said, we'd really appreciate it if you stayed 15 minutes max, in and out. And the hand sanitizer was right there. So I'm just at a loss as to why they have to shut down when they're doing it right. But again, if I were to go to Costco or Walmart, there's lots of people, some maybe not following all the right rules. Even if I go, I do click and collect now. I don't really go to grocery stores, but I went to a small one here in my neighborhood. People aren't following social distance in there, and the shops aren't enforcing it. I had a woman right over my shoulder while I'm picking up asparagus the other day, and I'm just like, what? This is allowed to be open, but other things aren't. And the big one for me that really is boggling my mind when I see so many people struggling is how the LCBO is labeled as an essential service. The rules and the laws changed this year to allow restaurants to be able to deliver. And I believe the LCBO even has click and collect. And I can tell you, I've been to the LCBO a handful of occasions. Not once, even back when we were contact tracing, not once was my name taken, my phone number. I saw people pick things up and then change them and put it down. Never saw anyone sterilize them. So it's the messaging that I'm seeing is, let's protect our big businesses, let's get the tax dollars in, and the small guys, well, if they can survive, great. If not, well, they can come and work for the big guys. And it just seems so backwards. So I really hope that we get some clearer messaging, and I'm hoping that our small businesses can reach out to people, especially on the liquor side of things, and people can start taking advantage of you want beer in this neighborhood, call the Old Spot and get some Sweetgrass. Call Louis Cypher and get some of their beer. They'll deliver it, or curbside pickup. Like, try to put some money back in their pockets. The Costco's, the Walmarts, the LCBO, they don't need it. And I know people are going to say, well, the LCBO, it's an essential service because, well, if the alcoholics can't get their alcohol, they're going to go into withdrawal and they're going to fill up the ICU beds. You can make 100 arguments about all of it. The reality is there are other options now other than just going to the LCBO. So if they have a computer, they can click and collect. They can call their local restaurant. Because if they're going to the LCBO, they have the money to buy it anyways. So buy it from someone local and support that business if you can. But it's just getting to the point now where the rules are so backwards, in my opinion. I'm watching friends and colleagues in this business literally going bankrupt, and they're all doing the right thing. And the ones that aren't doing the right thing and the ones that aren't following the rules are the ones that are allowed to stay open because they're deemed essential. And I just don't understand it. And then in closing, I understand that it's frustrating. I just watched the last 2 days of Adamson's Barbecue flaunting the rules. Here was an opportunity for someone to do the right thing. However, he has shown his character and his moral compass months ago. There are ways to get your point across. He could have opened and at least made a show of having all the PPE in place. No mask. Some staff no mask. Guests in no masks. No PPE anywhere. Please, please, please. We can't go down that road. If more people start doing these kind of things, we're just going to end up in further lockdown. So let's try to use our voice in a positive way to get the messaging out of what we can offer as businesses, and have people come in and show them what we're doing, and doing it smartly and doing it responsibly. But until then, let's really keep the pressure up, and let's see if we can get some of these small businesses open and even some of the larger restaurants open. Because again, if you can have a large Costco, why can't you have a large restaurant that has good airflow and good spacing? It doesn't make sense. And at this point, I don't know that anyone can convince me otherwise. So, stay safe out there. Just my 2 cents on it. I know it's not wine related, but the voice that I do have, and I recognize it's not a big voice, but it's a voice I wanted to share because I support these small businesses and I want to see them thrive, and I want to see our industry thrive. And I'm just tired of seeing us get kicked and put down when we're trying to do the right thing, and the ones that aren't are the ones that are being rewarded. So, if you can tonight, order local, order some beer or some spirits from your local restaurant. Try to put as much money back into their pockets as possible because they are suffering. And if you need wine, look online. There's a ton of really great wine agents that we've talked about here. Nicholas Pierce, Serge Janik, The Vine, The Living Vine, Rogers and Company, and there's so many more. But Family Wine Merchants, just try to support these guys. They are suffering more than you know because they're an integral part of the supply chain. And without any supply, there is no chain. So let's get out there and support local and keep the pressure up. Thanks, guys, and we'll be back to look at some cocktails and wine later on in the week.